our city. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. Looking over the first item on here is the reappointments. Is anyone passionate or anything y'all want to talk about? I was thinking about Cleveland Sean, where's that for finance? Jimmy, I was thinking about putting you over the fire and police, and I would put you over water, and put you over water too. Y'all okay with that? Sure. Annual reappointments. As we have stated, Mark Musselwhite, city manager, city clerk, Megan Chastain, public works, Brian Popham, Crockham as police chief, fire chief is unknown yet, so we're going through that process. Magistrate judge, Judge Sneed, city engineer, is much blank, but I think that Fletcher Holiday would serve us well in that capacity. Thomas Mitchell is city attorney, city accountant is Burton. Is there any discussion on any of these topics that you want to talk about?
And just to tag on to that, Brian and I've talked a lot about this, and EMI has our hands in a lot of business with the water, with the sewer, different projects. I can call, not that I can't call anybody else, but I can call Fletcher. He can stop what he's doing and assist in what we need to get that answer. That's pretty quick time frame. Staff very knowledgeable to it, and that is my recommendation to y'all as well. But I wanted to leave it open just so that we could have any discussion. But Brian, I'm sorry, I had the same. Right, I don't see there being, you mean like, is there any conflict or anything?
Conflict, like, I know that we just went through property contract law, but if something else were to come up with that, we have, what would be the suggestion to deal with that kind of conflict?
Right, I hear your question, and I would say that from a professional standpoint, that would just be something we would have to work through. And I personally don't feel either side or either EMI would jeopardize their credentials and their reputation and to make anything be a point like that, because we are partners with Baldwin. We are partners with them on water. Much deeper than most people may realize. Because again, they have so much allocation and we have so much of that allocation. And we gotta know what they're doing, we gotta know what they're doing. And I think it just makes perfect sense to have somebody that's works on both sides.
Do you think that if it come to that point, that we can even step outside, but for all city purposes, that engineer would be a good fit? We can talk about it as that. Fletcher, if we appointed you as city engineer, would you have a problem if it come to that point where we were in negotiations with somebody else you were contracted with, that we used somebody else, would you be, that be a problem on yourself?
No, sir. No.
And also, as far as council reappointments, John and the mayor, anybody have any further discussions on these
Brett Fowler and Turtle Smith was unable to be here this evening. And, if you'll turn to page 1, note the chart, as you can see, is a little small. We had a full sheet of a legal size going across with 7 different insurance companies on the health side to look at. If you look in the first column, it says current rates. That's where we are with Cigna right now. The second column is what their first proposal was to us to raise it, round numbers, 15%. The third column is where I negotiated them down to almost 6%. And then the third column was the next best bid that we had. So, in talking with Brett, you know, we worked with Humana the year before, for several years. Staff loved Humana, but Cigna came in and gave us a $96,000 savings to switch to them, effective February 1st. I will tell you that there have been many issues with Cigna in several different cases. The biggest being at the pharmacies here. So, long story short, it was a big issue. Then there were some other issues where timing, I just get approved for this, or you show up, it hadn't been done. But some of those things get in the doctor's office not necessarily doing their part too, but doing a timely request of the insurance. So last Thursday, we had an employee luncheon. And we had roughly 30 of the employees. We have 30 in our plan. And I showed them all of this because they've been asking for us to change from Cigna due to all the issues. So, Humana, effective 12/31/23, have left the municipalities and backtracked out of the health insurance. They've gone to more commercial for whatever reasons with their numbers. And so we wouldn't have them anyway. So I had asked Cigna for all the issues that we've had, and were well documented, that I really would ask for a 0 price increase. And yesterday we were informed they could only go down to the 5.71 as their best offer. And I still don't have any comfort that things are right, but we've also been through this with the insurance company for 11 months. Now, at one of our insurance meetings last year with Brett Fowler, he did tell every city employee, don't wait till your first month's insurance prescription runs out. Go get 2 or 3 months in case there's a problem. So, he calls that continuing education to make sure your doctors has followed up with the insurance company on early appointments for MRIs or anything else that you may need. So, the employees pretty much told me they wanted to change last Thursday. And that being said, Aetna owns Walgreens, so we should think that Aetna wouldn't have a problem getting those prescriptions filled. Not to say anything about anybody else, I just tell you that for your own personal knowledge. And so their price is 3% less than what we're paying right now. Round numbers. Currently, we're paying $970. The new rate at 6% increase would be $1,025. Aetna's new rate is $942, which is 3% less than what we're paying right now. Now, again, Cigna gave us savings of $95,000. And again, once you start hopping from company to company to company, there's a lot of insurances out there. So this would be our third one if we vote to change in 3 years. And one of the continuing educational things Brett said was, well, remember, we got to start getting insurance cards all over again. We got to start all over again with the health cards at the pharmacies. Yeah. So that could happen, but again, Turtle Smith has said, I've never seen the issues that we went through. And everybody apologizes, but I had a couple people without diabetic medicine for several days and real issues out there. And Turnwood Smith would go ahead and use their personal car to go get the medicine for them. But I didn't think we need to be going through at that point. So the coverages are about the same. I know it's hard to read this, but it's pretty close in the deductibles in network, out of network. So it compares apples to apples. But it's a matter we want to change it.
So you saying we're without insurance as of today, or is it?
No, this doesn't expire till February 1st. So we're just ahead of the game on this one being ready to go. We'll talk about workers' comp. So
I don't know much about health insurance, other than I hate trying to pick mine every year. But looking at these, comparing them apples to apples, it looks like the new one might be a little bit better program. Out-of-pocket minimum is $500 less.
yeah,
The family out-of-pocket minimum is $1,000 less. I'm looking at more of the special care physicians, it's $15 more.
and do understand, you see on the chart to the left there's no coverage. We offer coverage for family, spouse, children. You can see the numbers as you go down right there. So you see the first number for the current rate is $969. You want to cover the employee and the spouse, it's $2,036. So we don't have any spouses or children covered. It is just our employees, because once you tag into those additional folks, that's where that price starts going up on that.
How's the current network with local providers in that?
They're all good with Northeast Georgia in the area, so there's no issues with them at this point in time, unless you know something we don't know.
I do not know where our contract with them goes to,
Okay.
but they're not one of the ones that really give us hits.
Employees ask for a change, so I'm here to recommend to y'all that we change. Again, we could create a monster. That's the unknown. Elisha, we saw the monster starting in February. One thing we're going to do is your health cards come in a junk mail looking envelope. I threw mine away. And so we're going to ask them to mail them here to the city, and we'll disperse them out. Because if they come in like junk mail, I still got 5 that don't have them. Well, they didn't follow up either. I just assumed once we order them.
You don't have access to website, app, or electronic cards, electronic reviews.
I can't answer that. That never came up because I don't know anything. Okay.
Yeah, I can give them temporary cards.
Thank you. Anything you want to add?
Even with Aetna, did you ask?
Yeah, from my understanding, we should be able to do the same thing with that as we do currently with Cigna.
Any other further discussion on this? If the staff wants to change, it's no problem changing.
More costs.
It is cheaper for the city. Keep dragging through everybody through a change. They want the change.
There's gonna be issues. Trust me, I do this every year. There's gonna be issues every year with, insurance, especially when you change providers. So we probably will see some of the same things, problems come back up. One of those get worked out within time, the city wasn't able to fix those issues in 12 months, and it's been frustrating time. I can understand why they want to change.
Any further discussion or input, guys?
you look at those numbers right there, because the city pays full that amount, so on this one right here, it would be $2,000 for the spouse there.
It's a 40 plus spouse, so it would be 969 minus.
Yes, sorry. The 2,000 minus the 969, so it's everybody about $1,000 using a round number there.
Pharmacy covers beyond Walgreens, it's at home.
Yeah, we went through all that with Tim and all the locals here, and they actually could do a better job than the national companies could. The locals could. And Kerwin Smith folks came out to see, the other companies here to say, hey, are you using this number? Somebody, one of the locals, figured out a way to circle back around, and she was telling the other local pharmacists, because our numbers, some say our numbers weren't right on our cards. Same that in terms of specific words. It's a lot of, nobody really owned the problem at the end of the day, except the employee. We had these things. But I don't blame Turtle and Smith because they would come out and pay, with their own corporate card to get medicine. Megan, do you have anything you want to add?
Megan, you're on this plan, right?
Yes.
Are you okay with the change?
Yeah, so part of what the problem is when people are going to their companies, it says that there's no employee found. So it's something that we think like a typo or something to do with the cards, but no one has found the solution. And we're kind of balanced out right now because everyone's in and have their prescriptions and settled in with their pharmacies, but I feel like going forward, if we get new employees or they change pharmacies, we'll still have the same issue.
You're good with the change?
Yes, I'm good.
And believe me, many employees told Megan all year, please change.
Very good. Next is workers' comp proposals, Mark.
Yes, we went out and we got 3 proposals on this one. And we've had Advantage insurance on all our insurance covers, not the health side. For over 25 years, I was told by Dulcie, our agent. On her email, you can see what the workers' comp premium was for 22, 23, and projected for 24. And all that is based upon your income. I'm sorry, back up. On the payments of your payroll on that. Different job they have different codes and quotes in that, and that's how that number is generated. So that's her quotes for Advantage. And the biggest issue was our workers' comp policy expired January 1st. But I have a recommendation on one of the other policies, and they've already underwritten us effective yesterday, knowing that we weren't voting until today. So, the Travelers is who that we've been with for these years. And you can see the $70,782. Smith bid out 2 companies under their company name. We have the first one here is a total price of $49,733. And we have sent them our budget with our payroll numbers, so they have seen that on how to bid this out. This is Apex Insurance out of Alpharetta. His next quote is Key Risk Insurance, and their bid is $56,841. So basically $70,000 with with Travelers, Apex here at 50, and Key Risk is here at 57. Now, turn 2 pages to the back. I had met with John Herring with Jack Bradley Insurance. And, again, trying to keep the insurance local here. I'll let y'all read his comments in this email. Because again, there's only so many companies that are out there that do workers' comp too. And basically, for everybody else, they decided not to bid at this time because of the process. They've already had the same companies bid that he was gonna go look at too. So there's no way to really make any difference between those companies.
Difference in 7 years. Oh,
Well, I will say this, I was told this last year that our insurance had been get out.
So, one, this big conversation point is travelers isn't everybody else.
It is,
Some of these other ones are,
it is true. But they all have their same state requirements to meet. And again, travelers, I'm assuming hadn't heard anybody mention of any issue with workers' comp. Did you all have, Megan, has there been any issue of anything good or bad through past years of workers' comp?
No, they're good to work with.
But you can see the same range of their price, which is 71,000, 65,000, and 71,000. And I did not cancel them effective 1/1/24. So I told them that we had to vote tonight. And
yeah, I see, travelers, it says renewal, but what's the real difference, apples to apples? I see key risk shows employee liability limits. I see,
Now-
a lot of the deck sheet, I guess.
Jimbo Floyd, who's president of Cumberland Smith, was to be here tonight. Unfortunately, his son had a major ski accident on Saturday and surgery on his youngest son. So they didn't get home till today. So I can't answer every one of those questions that he would have been able to answer.
And that difference is so big that I'm really just skeptical of what's different. Yeah, like Apex, I see quote, I see no information.
Read on the first email from Jimbo dated 12 December 12th. Read what he says about the two carriers. Go back that way. Yeah, go past it. Right there. Right. Now, I can call Jimbo and put him on speakerphone. But the mayor is correct. Travelers is one of the top tier. You know, they are top tier nationwide.
Will it affect any of our other insurance policies if we change? This is our outnumber policy.
We're working on that as we speak, so. Megan, is that policy with Travelers too, what we got on our other commercial auto and general liability?
sense to think that that's how I personally. Yeah, well, I was calling people.
You may call and see if he's available to talk. I'm really just curious about apples to apples and how they. Thomas, have you had any involvement in any of these other brands?
You can talk. All right, we'll put you on speakerphone. We're in our work session. And they were just asking the two companies compared apple to apple with apples and Idaho. Alright. He is pulling up his laptop. He's in his truck right now. And Jimbo, while you do that, we're gonna have Mayor Hargis, and then I've got 4 other council members here, city attorney, myself, and then we're also streaming on Facebook and with other folks in here. So just so they can hear you, just speak loud. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna set this down here. So you're live now, Jimbo.
Yes, sir, you're fine. We appreciate you taking the call. We're really curious whether, like, apples to apples, of how these things compare. Because Q-Risk, we see the deck sheet on that of everything that goes out. The other one we do not. I was wondering how they compare as far as Apex versus Q-Risk, and even going back to Travelers of where we're at now, if you were privileged to that information on which one compares and which one is the best policy, because none of us necessarily know. Yeah, that explains a lot. And one more question as far as employee liability limits. On Q risk, it shows a million, a million, a million. Do those vary throughout the three quotes?
No, and it doesn't, and actually, there's never been an employer's liability claim in the state of Georgia. And so, the limits, no matter what limits you ever see, sometimes they'll show 500, it doesn't matter. In the state of Georgia, in some other states, it does, but in Georgia, it doesn't matter. They're all the same.
Thank you. Any other questions, guys? Thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely, man. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to call me back. I'm happy to answer. And again, I apologize that I couldn't do this evening.
All right, I appreciate you. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, man. Bye.
As bad as I hate to leave a local broker who I have a long-standing relationship with, that cost savings is significant enough to have to.
So you go over the amounts again, so I can start doing this.
Absolutely. So our first amount is $70,782 for travelers. We have Apex, which is $49,733. And we have Key Risk, which is $56,841.
Again, they come in after your year is over and they audit your books on verify that you paid what you estimated payroll to be, or you under, and then they either issue you a credit or they send you a bill if they didn't do the coverages based on what's actually done.
So Apex is the clear low bidder.
What we're paying right now for travelers, how much? 31,386.
Well, in 2023, it's estimated at $64,857. But they have to come audit us in early 2024 to finalize that number. But if you look at what we paid in 22 and what we're projected to pay in 24, that's a pretty low number right there at 64,000.
Any other further discussion?
Concern that I have is that they do cover our vehicles and
Yeah.
all those other things. Is that all tied in together? You know, like if we leave them out of this and we go with the low bid here, are those insurance rates gonna go up?
Well, here's what's happening. We are working on getting all that information to all the three folks that bid on this for that policy for the February 1st. So we're working on that. There's a couple things that Brian has done the most amount of work. He has the most vehicles and most equipment and those kind of things. So I just sent out today to fire department, police department, and to give me a couple things for them to update their cars and anything like that too. So I should have that back by Thursday. Then everybody will have the same bit of information. I mean, I fill out an application, making an idea about gate deck. And then, because obviously Travelers has all our information, they just needed anything new that we've added. And then John and Jack Brandon just give them all the information too. So we've been working on this for 30 days.
Okay. Right. I was comforted by what he said about them all being the same.
In the workers'
In
comp.
the workers' comp.
Because again, that's part of your insurance commissioner with the state,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that these carriers are all in line and everybody's offering the same thing. And that's where you got on this condo insurance on the East Coast and on Gulf Coast. I mean, they're seeing increased prices of $1 million in premiums now over the last 2 years. seeing condo monthly fees go from $1,000 to $3,000 because of these insurance premiums, just on the condo buildings.
All right. Any other further discussion about workers' comp? All right, next moving on to adoption of new water rates and sewer rates.
You guys go back to when we worked on our budget in October. We had, Fletcher and I had talked about a 14% increase in the water and sewer rates. And we were making those assumptions for just dollar for dollar. And he was already in the works of doing our rate analysis. I just couldn't let him wait till he finished it to come up with the final number, so I needed him to give me some rough numbers, which he did. And the difference is we're coming in here tonight with requesting a 18%, and the difference of that 4% is we've got a debt coverage ratio that we have to meet for our GPA loans. And that was the one part of the equation that we weren't factored in at that time because he wasn't finished with his analysis. So just want y'all to understand why there's additional 4% in 2 months' time. And so that's what Fletcher is going to explain from here. Can you correct me if I'm wrong in any way?
No, sir, that's exactly right. So everyone has a copy of the report. So we did complete our cash flow analysis to include a rate analysis and projection of water and sewer flows for the city of Demorest. And this analysis is a 10-year projection. And we did look at flows as well as rates and cash flow. And Mark is correct. What we had previously done was we were asked to look at the current budget that the city was to adopt and to determine what a rate increase would be to balance that budget. And that was solely done off of projected revenues as the revenues were shown from the current cash flow analysis that we'd received from the city. At the time, we did not know what the total net revenue and debt service would be, so we were unable to calculate what the debt service coverage would be, and we let the city know that at that time. Since we've completed our analysis, which you have in front of you, which is quite lengthy, there's a lot of information in here. There's a lot of trend charts that show the actual flows compared to the rate structure. One of the couple of the items that I'd like to point you to specifically as it pertains to the rates would be the actual projections that is shown from the current budget and historical trends, which is how we were able to determine what the true 18% would be. So if you start on page 6, you will see the actual rate analysis and how that was conducted and moves forward. And again, this is based off of looking at 10 years of analysis that the city has provided, and then going forward. If you look on page 7, you will see projected O&M costs from 2018 all the way up to 2033. If you look at the trend chart there in the 2023 annualized, you will see the jump from 2004 on the budget projection. So the budget projection, which is the small dashed lines, dotted lines, is what's actually shown on the current budget. If we take and compare our previous years, what we refer to as a trend projection, you see that number is significantly less. And that is because of the increase of the 2024 budget as adopted by the city based on additional improvements to the water system, wastewater system, as well as the continued transfer to the general fund. That difference between the projected O&M budget and the trend projected O&M budget is $835,000. So that makes up the difference of the original 14% increase and the 18% increase. If you look on page 8, you will see we show current cash projections based on expenses, and we show the historical expenses and projected expenses as well as revenue and projected revenue. So if the city was to stay stagnant and not have the increase that is being recommended as a part of this study, you will see the city will fall short of the projected expenses as they are being shown. On page 9 shows the 18% uniform rate increase, followed with the historical and projected revenue, and the city tracks and trends all the way out to 2033 with the initial 18% increase. Going forward, the city will also need to ensure that they maintain a 6% increase of water and sewer rate revenue. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to increase your rates by 6% every year. You just have to have an increase of revenue. So if you have more customers coming on, you're selling more water, and as long as you have that 6% increase, then the budget would continue to be balanced based on the projected costs moving forward. So what we're recommending as a result of this study is a uniform 18% rate increase, followed by an annual 6% increase, which again would be based off of revenue or a rate percent increase. And for example, as far as rates, an average residential rate of a monthly bill of $43.90. With this particular rate increase would be increased to $51.80. So that's just shy of $8 a month.
Fletcher, what can you share with us just about the increase in costs and things? What did it cost to repair a 1 mile water line in 2020 versus today?
Yeah, there's significantly. All of the cost. Oh, it's been over 18%. Yes, sir. Yes, it's definitely been over 18%. Part of the issue that the operation and maintenance of a water and wastewater system is the components that is involved in the water and wastewater system. They can't just be purchased at a local store, and the cost for those have drastically increased. In some cases, we're seeing increases of over 200% for some material and installation cost.
Unfortunately, having to be forced into the spot, we're having to go up the force. Most of it because we're trying to hold back from doing it around.
Hunter, can you show, I think the chart was on page 3 about the users.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so just backing up a little bit where we're looking at the actual flow projections and calculating a growth rate model, you will see if you look at page 3, in this particular analysis that we were evaluating was the actual growth rate for the city of Demorest as it pertains to water and sewer flows. And if you look at these two charts, you will see as far as consumption and revenue, that 62% of your customer class is residential outside. That's what RESO stands for, residential outside customers. They are actually consuming 62% of water, and all of the revenue that's generated, they're paying 70% of those costs. One of the reasons why is because they're so far outside of the city. So in order to operate, maintain, pump water to those far out areas, water storage, there's an increased cost for that. The other difference that we see that sticks out is the institutional rates. You will see that the institutional rates, while they are consuming 16% of the water, they're actually only bringing revenue of 12% in. And those customers too are also outside. One of the items that we did recommend in looking at the overall system as far as it pertains to this study was to look at your institutional rates to match their percent revenue generation to their percent consumption rate. This is typical. AWWA standards recommend that in order to balance revenue based on flow to those particular consumers. So that is one thing too going forward that the city might want to consider, and was revealed based on doing this particular flow analysis. But as it currently stands, with the budget that the city has in place, in order to balance that budget and meet, as Mark pointed out, which is very important and essentially makes up that additional 4%, which is a requirement by your lending agency, GFA, in order to meet the 1.05 debt service coverage ratio. This actual report is recommending the 18% rate increase.
Thoughts, topics? Where everything is unfortunately costing more and more money. Some things have been gradually increased on us over the past couple of years, and we've done really well holding it down over that time. We've made it to the point we can no longer hold it down.
And one thing to keep in mind, y'all are gonna pass this, we just have to have an effective date, like February 1st or February 15th, or. Because right now, our due dates are the 4th and 20th. So.
Any other further discussion, council?
So you made it effective February first.
They haven't been billed yet. They need to get it with the new rate for that February 4th due date.
Any other further discussion? Anything else you'd like to add, Fletcher?
No, sir, other than, just looking at those other rate structures in the future might be a good option for the city to consider.
We'll have some examples of that, like the departments and things of that sort. The school system.
Moving on to the consideration of historical society lease.
All right. Thomas?
Yeah, this lease, basically tracks our terms of the historical society previous lease. One thing that I would say is that the exhibit describes the property, the entire property, or what the lease says, the property, the lease.
You were just working off of the history room as we speak. That's something different.
Is it gonna be that room?
I would like the ability to move to.
Me too.
Yeah.
They already have more than one classroom, formal classroom.
Not for this, right, time.
So what I would say is that's the property to be no more than the single building in all.
Because again, we're still dealing with the post office.
And I would like it to say we can move it within notice, not approval, but notice.
You do have to make kind of a decision on this pretty soon, if it is gonna be that room, because if we're contracting with, Graphic Arts to do boards.
Yes.
That have to match the size, and that room that we're currently in now is larger. than
The way it's looking, the post office is liking the grass side, because they want us to build a parking lot on that side. So we talked about that part during my time. So,
Tonight, because there's, early 30.
The price was $1 per year. Yeah, it's supposed to be per year instead of per bus. Audrey, do you have any comments about, the agreement?
Happy New Year.
yes, ma'am,
Thank
you
you.
too.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you from way back there, I didn't know if I should come up, sit here, but, we looked at the contract and, we didn't see anything that was, of any real concern to us. The, one comment that, one of the board members had is that you made reference to the days that you would be open, those are the days that we would operate. But you didn't say, exactly what hours. And we assume it's 9 to 5, but we.
8 to 5.
Oh, it's 8?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 8 to
Yes,
5.
ma'am.
Yeah, so that was one thing that we didn't see in their outline. But other than that, we thought it was great. We compared it to the lease that we currently have with the city of Quincy. We didn't see that there was anything that was,
We can attach a copy of our 2024 holiday schedule.
yeah, but we didn't see.
I think that's what it says now. Yeah, normal business hours.
And we're, like I said, we're under pressure from Piedmont to start this project. And they only have so much time that they've got to complete it before the students graduate. So, I guess, is it going to be that room or it's not going to be that room?
I can't say,
It's a hard.
I can't say for a fact, because I don't know how long we're going to have to talk and deal with the post office. You know, because nothing's moved as fast as we know.
Design it for the dimensions, you have to talk to, design it for the dimensions of the normal size classrooms.
And if there's something extra,
Yeah.
Could I add, one, I think Sean probably know this though, but one concern that they had in terms of, circulation and quote unquote a museum, setup is that we would have two ways to get out, entry. And I think that the room that is currently in has 2 doors in it. And that was a concern that they had, which I think is a valid concern.
but obviously, as a classroom, there's just one way in and one way out
Exactly, yeah,
at this point in time.
I got you.
Now, post office is asking for a separate entrance, and we haven't got into the schematics of numbers or anything like that. I'm just using the 3D design to show what the doors could look like.
She's talking about just that classroom.
No, I
Two
understand.
doors in the classroom.
But that's the only one that has that.
Can I just ask something for clarification? So are you saying that that is a room that first you have to determine what's gonna happen with the post office before you can, because that's in the same area? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I was saying.
okay,
We'd have to get them to design boards and everything based on dimensions of just general classrooms.
I got it, okay. Are all the other classrooms about the same size?
I believe so.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah, it's just that one is the largest and it's the only one that has 2 doors, because that used to be an original library here.
Oh, okay, oh, that would be great.
Makes sense.
So do you have any idea, I know you don't know, but do you have any idea, like?
I'm supposed to send them a new proposal tomorrow,
Okay.
and so, no, I don't.
Okay, so, yeah, and so, Piedmont, had hoped that this project would be the, spring, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we still
Quarter.
get them to work on it. I think they're just gonna have to make it to fit even a smaller room versus the larger room. so we can move it in case the need be.
Oh, that would be good. So also to want to say that that the Historical Society is in conversation about having some of their artifacts in another location, which we already discussed. But since that first discussion, we now are thinking that some of those standard telephone exhibit artifacts may go to a small boutique space inside the Swanson Center, so that we could also do what Mr. Allen has been talking about, having this as a hub, and then having these tangents to where people can go and experience other things about the county's history.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, well, can I go? Okay. I didn't know if I should stay till 7 o'clock. Okay.
So Thomas will work on these items,
Okay.
and then we'll send it out,
Okay.
and once Thomas and I said we're good and you're good, then we're all good to go.
Okay. Well, we look forward to it. Thank you so
All right,
much.
thank you.
Okay.
Next, moving on to facility agreements. Mark, what do you have on this?
Basically, we had worked with Thomas here because, for the first couple months we've been here, we just letting folks use the place, things of that sort.
And when we say place, you mean this room?
This room, the gym was all first come, first served, and things of that sort. We hadn't charged anybody like that. And, but even if we were gonna give somebody the room, we needed to have an agreement in here because with a deposit, in case they messed with the equipment, anything like that, anything was damaged, things of that sort. So we're trying to come up with some fair numbers, which I had sent you probably a month or so ago. And, there's a charge for non-residents and there's a different charge for residents in here. And, because, again, you come down to it, you want food being served in here, you want alcohol served in here. And again, this is mayor and council chambers and a municipal courtroom. Or do you want to do it just in the cafeteria side? So we just trying to create some dialogue for everybody to say, hey, are these numbers realistic? Because again, we got the expense because a police officer at least has to come over here and let them in depending on the time of day, lock it up. We've got electricity, we got all these kind of expenses in here, and clean up, even though it says they're to clean it up, it look just like it is, and they're to haul the trash off and do all those kind of things. And then we've got somebody that's got to follow up to make sure all those things were done. Because again, down at the gym, y'all been down there, I put up signs about indoor soccer, and I congratulate 3 or 4 young men who played in there, came to see me or called me, wanted to know why. And they said, well, I was there and saw the ball hit the camera. I didn't see the horn get broken off, but I understand what you're saying. So they didn't think about those things. We've ordered cages to go over the cameras, but is that really a sport y'all want inside? It's not made for that. So, but these are the different rates: $4.75 per day, for non-residents, and for residents, $2.75 to use it for 8 hours. These are some things they would have to sign off on, pay the deposit, and then they're liable if something goes wrong. And so I'm asking y'all to look at this, because here it says, character of the gymnasium, rental events must be at or closing of the day, and then different items in here. If y'all want to have administratively decide whether somebody can have alcohol in here. Because we do get phone calls about it.
I think that Cornelia allows it, you just have to have police officers.
I think we're going to get the same thing starting spring in the park pavilion restroom. People are going to want to rent that for their birthday space. Whether we want to do that or not, or everything stays first come, first serve.
I would rather keep the gym and the park first come, first serve. I want to rent this space.
In the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay too.
Mayor, like you said, I think Cornelia, up to 75 or 100 people, they require 1 officer. If it's over 100, they require 2, just depending on. what their needs are. That would be something to include also.
Now, we do have the cameras in here, and they do run 24/7. We do not have cameras in the cafeteria.
Well, somebody isn't renting, they're responsible.
That's right. But I just wouldn't have the camera view. And then we do have the cameras on both sides of the restrooms and the hall right there. And of course, those doors would be, hall doors would be locked.
I'm still on board with renting it out. I'd love to add some language about the police presence, whether or not so many votes.
We're talking about alcohol, and then it's about
Yeah, I think that alcohol is involved there, you should really see what that looks like. You know,
I think theirs specifically is for alcohol. If alcohol's involved, then require an officer.
okay.
But I can find out for sure.
Will you send that to Thomas and us, please? Thank you.
Almost 99% sure that's.
You willing to bet on it?
Is that something y'all want to vote on this evening?
That's what mine is. Their community center, that's exactly what they do. Never.
Marcus LeBon, he's worked up their needs, and that's their.
Okay.
If alcohol's involved, they require an officer, but if it's not, then they don't require.
Can we go ahead and strike that on here and pass it this evening?
We don't want to vote on it, Thomas. I use wordsmiths and words, which I was thinking about.
I don't think that, I mean, Thomas, you know, what they have there.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one that spoke up about the gymnasium and the park pavilion, but I'd like to keep them first come, first served. Because it seems like a lot of people's been counting on a gym in the park.
Oh, that's good.
My son uses it about 3-4 times a week. Historically, we've had a lot of weddings out here in the park.
They could rent space for that. I mean, not rent space, but it's first come, first served. I really hate to block it off until kids that can go to the bathroom there.
It's true, it's like,
Yeah. I mean, you're right, the veterans down there, but also first come, first served.
What do y'all think about the price to rent it for the inside?
Well, I think it's great. I think it's 40 people, and that really just kind of covers overhead, nothing that's making money.
We all gonna allow alcohol.
Why would you, what kind of food would you have for that?
You could have a birthday party, you could have a school reunion, you could have a wedding.
It makes sense, having a kitchen in there. People that are using it, there's nothing.
Yeah, we need to work on that.
Because that's a
That's a
thought,
topic for another day. This other market I talked about,
Yeah.
trying to solve some of that.
and that still goes back to the original. I'm not putting pressure on it. But we get back to, we have some limitations from our loan that obviously prevents that for now. So I think that is a discussion I wanna have, we wanna have. Because it's not a bank covenant, it is through the tax lawyer.
It is a bank covenant because it's the type of loan.
Michael, I'll verify with him, he says it is not his, it is the tax law that requires that.
I guess it is the law.
The reason you got the low interest rates because there aren't any.
And whatever law that is on those interest rates that allow banks. They don't have to pay taxes on the profit. That makes sense.
And so that just takes away some serious revenue opportunities for that. Because then you can't rent or lease to a law firm or whatever outside of that. But there would be no reason a restaurant wouldn't want that.
We would just have to get it under. But back to passing this evening, council, what's your appetite for passing this evening? Or would you like to kick it down the road? Just to see.
I don't want to kick it down the road too far because we've got so many people that are interested in the space.
Yeah.
More passing it and allowing these guys to gather information from the municipalities around us and other counties around us. And then come up with something that's reasonable.
Can we exclude that for now? Out of this, as far as what you're saying?
You just exclude the alcohol piece.
Right now it says you're not gonna serve unless it's basically, you gotta have written approval, and you gotta have the official licenses, so effectively what that means, unless you got to start with this license, you can do a caterer, you're not gonna serve. As it stands now, so what we're really talking about is you wanna allow folks to come in and under what circumstances, and we call for.
Special events that we have now.
We can just leave it up to manager approval.
Pass that. That's what it said in the present, discussing issues to the right.
Probably do when it gets on.
What?
You probably do when it gets on the place.
Yes.
How would you suggest us do that?
I think you adopt this and then you do the research and then
Modify it.
not gonna be modified later.
Very good.
Or there's a real demand for what you do, feel like you do.
Right.
Let's move on to the LMIG. Mark, what you got on LMIG?
Hang on 1 second.
This is,
Okay. We have to have this turned in by February 1st. And roughly, we're going to receive roughly the same amount of money as we did last year. Round numbers, 38,000. We matched pretty much 100%. We get right at 70,000 total between us and the state. And we're required to match at 30%. And Brian and I wrote some choices today.
Tell us where exactly these are at.
I'm gonna do that. So on Alabama Street, when you take off across the street from where y'all's house was right there on your dad's office side of Alabama Street, go down the hill and up to the four-way stop sign. If you go about halfway between there and the end of Alabama Street, right there in front of Piedmont's gym, there's a section up there that he's got there.
Small section.
Yes.
350 feet.
Yep. And Georgia Street is taking it from the police station all the way to the stop sign heading toward the commons.
Okay.
So that will give a perfect entrance into Piedmont with that stretch there and that street being handled. The other street is on Arizona and Stone. When you first turn on Arizona, there's some, it's more than that, it's leaning and sinking on that right-hand side going up on Arizona. Then you come around the Stone, going down the hill, he's got a lot of alligatoring going in that area. And we can play with the numbers to add a little bit like that, but we did everything we were supposed to in 2023 and 2022. That's one of the things that Megan puts on the application to be done 100% of this. And so we're getting the bids. There's only been 2 companies that have bid on it. And so he started that process, but again, we got roughly 38,000, depending on how much asphalt has gone up. we play off of those numbers in our match, being right at 100%.
Does any of this paving include widening the streets?
It's a whole different, we've got SPOS dollars in there for roads, streets, and bridges. So we,
Sidewalks. Sidewalks.
so yes, that would be all in more, something like that. We can, when I go through my financials, you'll see, I'll highlight those in the financial section, you'll see that. And again, this is going ahead and getting this ready so we can have this turned in by February 1st.
Alright, very good. Any other further discussion? We are ready to move locations to your next ones. Alright, Mr. Restroom, Rick,
Yeah,
let's
we-
relocate.
That was something, here, put it back here.
We ask that you watch over us and bless us. We ask that you guide us in making decisions for the city that glorify your name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have approval of the agenda. Is there anything that would like to change or modify? Do we need to move anything towards the top? Move. Where's that at? Number 10. Number 10, move number 10 up to where number 8 is, maybe? Any other changes or deletions? Or if none, we'll entertain a motion to accept the modified agenda. Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Try running it without your microphone. Hear it by running that through. Yeah. I think this is we're picking it up just fine. John, is that feedback? All right, appearance and public comments. Anyone here to speak? All right, we'll have another opportunity at the end. Approval of the minutes. Council, please make a motion once you've read over those.
It's already defined through, number 6 on the, I guess we need to strike that and leave it out.
I'm sorry, sir?
Consideration of garbage truck.
Yes. Yes, sir.
We need to remove that completely, I guess. And also, the water structure.
Completely delete that line.
2 lines.
Number 6. What else? We're number 12. Was that a motion, sir?
This motion.
All right, a second to approve is modified. All those in favor? Very good, thank you. All right, next is the council reappointments to oversee the different departments. Once I'd like to say, that's why we're elected to look over the entire operations of the city. And even though one may oversee a certain department, we're all over those departments. So don't feel like we're overstepping or anything else when we're looking into those. But those council appointments, Jimmy, I'd like to add you over to police and fire. Are you okay to start with that class?
Yes, sir.
Donnie, I'd like to put you over to water. John over finance. And Andrew also to serve on the water. Bonnie, I'd like to add you as mayor pro tem.
Okay.
Are y'all okay with those appointments? All right, we need a motion on those appointments.
Make a motion to approve those appointments.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor to approve those appointments?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is the annual reappointments. Mark, you made the suggestion on all these appointments, running down the list. I'd like to approve these in one big block as far as city manager, Mark Musselwhite, city clerk is Megan Chastain, public works director is Ryan Popham, police chief is Robin Crockham, fire chief is unknown at this time. Magistrate judge is Judge Sneed, city engineer is Fletcher Holiday, city attorney is Thomas Mitchell, city accountant is Ed Burton. Entertain a motion to accept all these as one motion.
I'd like to make a motion, but roll call vote.
All right, very good. A second?
Second.
All right. How would you like your vote? Yes or no?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Andrew? Yes. Very good. Thank you, sir. Consideration of insurance proposal? No, I'm sorry. We're gonna move Fletcher on adoption of the water and sewer rate. So Fletcher, do you want to explain this and what we're looking at?
Yes, sir. So previously, EMI had evaluated the city's water and sewer expenses as it relates to the 2024 budget. And after that initial evaluation, which was a preliminary evaluation to ensure to balance the budget, we had recommended at that time a 14% increase to water and sewer rates. That was done while we were completing a more exhaustive evaluation of the city's expenses as it relates to revenue, and to include the debt service coverage ratio that is required by GFA with the city's water and sewer loans that they have, as well as other funding opportunities they have with GFA. After that exhaustive evaluation was completed, the report that was done shows that the city would need to increase their water and sewer rates by 18% as opposed to 14%, which was previously recommended. So the recommendation of this report is to increase the water and sewer rates by 18%. At the conclusion of the report, there is an attachment, which is attachment C, which has the current rates as they are shown, and then the rates with the 18% increase. Those are the last two documents in that report. If the city wishes to adopt those rates, those would be the new rates.
I know this is something we've been talking about for months now, knowing this day is coming. I don't think anybody wants to go forward on going up on anything, but the cost of everything has risen so much, we can no longer keep it where it's at. Council, do you have anything you'd like to add on this?
Fletcher, I thank you for doing such a clear job on explaining this type of thing. Not my forte, but you definitely made it clear, and the graphs that you designed, perfect.
Really don't with a decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council will entertain a motion of this water rate increase. Please indicate when this water rate increase will take effect, whether that's, February 1st. Or 15th.
Well, our bill dates, due dates are the 4th and the 20th. So each month.
Council will entertain a motion.
A motion to follow the recommendations of the engineer. We need to increase water rates to 18%, effective due date February 1st. Yes.
February first.
February 1st.
Okay. A second? Thank you, sir. All those in favor of this water rate increase for water and sewer on February first, please raise your hand. All right. Thank you, Flash.
Sir, thank you.
Next is consideration of insurance proposals. Mark, as we talked about, city employees have not been very happy with current insurance. And you've laid out a couple options for us.
Correct.
Right now, the option you were suggesting should work.
That would be the change from Cigna to Aetna, which would be a 3% decrease in our current rates the city pays for our city employees for their full coverage insurance. The rate would be $942.09, and our current rate with Cigna is $969.59. Their renewal rate would be $1,024.91. We've been serviced so forth. Employees have asked throughout the year that we make this change. And Terminus Bids has released about 7 options. And Aetna and Cigna the best 2 offers, and with us recommending Aetna. This will go into effect February 1st.
City staff here want to speak about that. Got anything on that?
We have any issues
Okay.
with the current, we had Casey, for instance, they wouldn't cover one of the medicines that he needed, he had to go back to his doctor to get it changed to a different medication.
Okay. And you're happy with the change as we make it? I know the unknowns and tell unknown.
We know what we've got now, so I'm gonna.
We have not, but we can change that.
I'll make a motion to switch our employee insurance plans to Aetna effective February 1st.
Second? All those in favor? Very good, thank you. Next, consideration of workman's comp proposals. Mark, you got 3 proposals on this that are all, that we're verifying to carry out as actions. One is $70,782 from travelers. The next is from Apex for $49,733. And the third proposal is from T-Wiz at $56,841. Council, please make your motion with the effective date of the 1st. We have a motion. Yes.
I'll make the motion to back up a second. Your recommendation is to go with Apex.
Yes.
I make the motion to go with workers' compensation with Apex for $49,733 premium effective January 1st, 2024.
Thank you, sir. A second? Second. All those in favor to approve Apex as the new deliverer? Thank you. Next is consideration of historical society lease. I believe we have a few changes. Mark, were you able to, Thomas, were you able to make those changes?
I'll have it by tomorrow, we'll write historical societies.
Can we make the approval with the changes needed?
And the changes will be that, it's gonna specify that the leased premises will be no more than 1 classroom, in the property. There'll be a provision that the landlord can require from 30 days notice that they move to another similar classroom in the space. The one thing that we did not talk about during work session is oftentimes in retail leases, as you may know, the landlord pays those expenses. I would propose that they would pay those expenses if there are any to move to the other room, but give them the opportunity to terminate the lease with 15 days notice if in the event they don't want to move.
Okay. Guys, did y'all hear what he said? Thomas, can you repeat the part about the expenses?
What I've drafted a provision that says that the landlord upon 30 days written notice can require the tenant, the historical society, to move to another classroom in the facility. Oftentimes in retail leases, that move is at the landlord's expense. What I've said in this, if there are any expenses, the tenant will pay those expenses to move their stuff, but give them the opportunity with 15 days notice to the city to terminate the lease rather than move. Y'all all right with that? Okay. And then the other, we'll check the rent as per month, that'd be per year. I think that's the only other change.
Thank you. We'll entertain a motion to accept the modified lease as laid in front of us.
I'll make a motion that we accept the modified lease with the term, with, the changes that Mr. Mitchell has discussed.
Thank you. Second? I'll second. All those in favor to accept the modified lease? Very good. Facility agreement. This is the agreement to rent this space and the cafeteria, 2 locations. The one laid out in front of us, I'd like to strike the portion of the gymnasium, but other than that, can we accept it as it's laid out in front of us?
Just one clarification. The amounts that we got here on this all together including the purchase numbers, right?
Yes, correct. Do we have a motion to accept the terms of renting this space?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor to accept the facility agreement? Very good.
I have one question. I was asking before, but
Sorry.
What about employees? Is there?
I think as far as this city, whether or not fire department or police department or city employees want to use it, that's free, right? Does anybody have an opinion with that?
Isn't already there's some that city manager has discretion in waiving fees. I see that.
Yeah, no, I can. Very good. Next is discussion of the LMIG. This is the pavement of the streets. Sir? That's where we pass.
so I asked afterwards.
Yeah. Next is discussion of paving the streets. This year's LMIG grant funds shall be used for 350 feet on Alabama Street, 311 feet on Georgia Street, and 2,050 feet on Arizona Stone Street. Is there any other further discussion of the use of these LMIG funds so we can send in this grant application?
Does the motion need to be in a specific format?
To allow me power to sign the grant application.
I make a motion to approve the LMIG projects as outlined here, to allow the mayor to sign this agreement.
Streets of Alabama.
The streets of Alabama, Georgia, and Arizona Stone.
A second? All those in favor to approve the LMIG? Very good, thank you. Next is manager's report. Mark, what you got for us?
We'll be here a while. Well, I believe today, we have all the final verbiage for Thomas on our lease for Old City Hall. And, so we're working through that, so hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll have that one signed off on. Brian is meeting with Jamie and his architect, and contractor tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and Megan, to go over all the details and expectations from the city, and exactly see their plans and things of that sort, so that will happen tomorrow at 3. We had put the garbage truck on hold to get some other bids. Brian called 5 different companies across the country. Only one company out of Charlotte called him back. And this is a Peterbilt truck with the same features, and it's $247,000. And the Mack truck that we had was a total bid out the door at $222,000. So everything is working well with our existing truck that we've had repaired. So I would say at this point, let's just hold tight to where we are and see if, from a cash flow standpoint and everything, just to see what we need to do later this year.
Did you investigate whether or not they would take our old truck in on trade?
Well, we had discussed that with them, but at this point in time, since our truck is working so well, I didn't push them to go ahead, but that was always our intent, was to look at trading that truck in. Talking about July 4th event. Y'all seen the contract from John King Music LLC, and we talked about different folks and what type of budget we wanted to see really just on the music. And again, what we have steel, live betting the overall cost of lights, stage, and total cost of $5,000, where John is pushing $7,000 for an acoustic show or $12,000 for a full band. And we just need to decide if we're going to tell him something, whether we're interested in this or go find some other local bands as we did, or Andrew in April did by finding live betting. So I just need some direction.
Council, could we get y'all's thoughts on that in the next 7 or 8 days, so we can let everybody know how to move forward? Mark, will you make sure you get that back out in front of everybody? And
Yes.
just get some response on that.
Would you mind getting numbers from Wayne? You know, John mentioned that we would have to use Wayne Bright or stage or someone.
Right.
Stage. You mind giving some numbers?
We can work on that too.
Yeah.
Also, I'm meeting. Thank you. Also, I'm meeting this week with one of the fireworks companies on, I guess it's next Wednesday, the 10th. And so we'll be getting some of that info so y'all can have that for our February meeting on some cost options. Or y'all wanting to look at going back this way or not? Or staying here with fireworks? Any thoughts?
Change location.
Just looking at any locations, because it's really amongst the fireworks guys to say, all right, we feel comfortable enough to do it here. Is this an option, or would you rather stay here? Because again, you run into the options, I've been told, with trees that are, or ball fields and artificial turf. And President Chrysler did tell us last year we wanted to come back. We all agree on the site. So
I think it's fine to explore other options. I'm not married to it being over here with this ball field.
I think that the fireworks folks have learned this site, done a better job last year over the previous years of this site. I think a couple of years ago, when we started talking about the site, I was with them when we went and looked at the some areas that people aren't, they were concerned about artificial turf.
Yeah.
I was not mentioned last year, possibly going up to larger two.
Yeah, you might talk to the fireworks guys about them a little higher.
Yeah. Okay.
We can last in like 20 minutes, 22 minutes, maybe 15.
Yeah. And the guy who shot him off, actually, he was the pyrotech here. He's from there. He lives here.
Ran into him at grocery store.
I ran into him around town the other day too. So
He really wants us to contact back with him. They started back in November. It's like they have people reaching out and just wanting to know if we're wanting to accept them.
We do need to go ahead and get that contract.
that's who I'm meeting with him next Wednesday.
Good.
Question on our land use and development standard meeting with Thomas. We need to get started with that. And, again, we will need some property owners, vacant property owners, the citizens, we will need some folks to come out with that. When we start advertising these meetings in this room to show different examples of how Thomas and his folks choose to educate us all on these options. So when we do set that, please reach out if you got some email base to get some citizens here. And we need to get some different opinions going. So our larger property owners will want to say something, but their voice counts only as much as anybody else's voice counts. There's a citizen here. So you keep that in mind.
It's better to give your input ahead of time on the process of creating this than afterwards, when something's already coming in that you did not expect.
Correct.
to be there.
Thomas, anything you want to add on what you're thinking?
No, just like to get a date to.
No, I'd just like to get a couple dates on the calendar for January, so we can, because we need to do something by April.
So then, just want to send out some, Thomas, tomorrow, some possible dates.
Right now, I've got a good bit of availability the next 2 months. I've got stuff to do, obviously, but no hearings, trials, or things like that that are currently on the schedule.
That's why I would hope that all these meetings, these extra meetings we're gonna have, will be actually you can hear and see and hear it for yourself and hear what the public has to say. That's gonna be a tough call when this stuff comes up. So, met with, our DOT superintendent on the missed date of December 30th. The handrails have been approved. And the link that pushed it past December 30th is there's a set of concrete old stairs that are just below where the wall starts or finishes, depending on which way you're going, on the church side. And for some reason, they seem to think that the city wanted those steps kept. And they couldn't be touched. But nobody can remember having that conversation to tell me why. So DOT had an issue. They had these 3 steps that we wear into the street and no crosswalk there. So part of the holdup now is to extend those handrails past those stairs so nobody can just access those stairs into the street. I don't know how anybody missed it, but that's where we were as of last week. So they're thinking January to finish that off.
January.
Yes, sir. We'll be presenting another 3D proposal to the post office tomorrow. And they asked about parking in the front. I've had this company just do some basic ideas. Looks pretty good, but again, you don't have to make a decision whether you want potentially more parking lot in the front or not. Because that could affect what the post office does, because if they put it in the front, they want to move to Essence would become the front side of the building, not on the back side. So that they technically can be on that side. So when I have all these finalized, I'm gonna finish up the Piedmont new lease between DDA and Piedmont on what essence is the farmhouse coffee shop, so then we can finish up our lease with farmhouse. We are meeting with them on Monday at 2 o'clock. So, I've got I did not attend my class today because we had to get this meeting today, but I will have my class tomorrow and Wednesday. To go into the call activities for the police department. Our folks had 150 calls last month. 5 domestic, 3 disturbance calls at the emergency room, 8 traffic accidents, 22 traffic stops, and 5 citations. Also completed 9 incident reports. And they had 80 hours of training last month. Demorest Fire Department had 114 calls. The department completed a total of 196 hours of training, completed their pump testing, completed 3 public events. They had on their calls 114, 78 were EMS related, or 68%. And outside the city, there was 27 calls. I'm sorry, there were 68 calls, 78 calls inside the city, and 27 or 40% the calls were outside the city limits. They had 8 motor vehicle accidents and 17 fire calls in an apartment complex, 3 wood fires, 4 transformer fires, 5 residential fires, and 4 parking power lines, 4 false alarms, and 7 public assists. Our drinking water is operating within their limits, as well as our drinking water system is operating within their limits. Our water sales for the month of November, we had 43 million gallons from Baldwin, 6 million from Tacoma, and 7 million from our Niceville, for a total of 56 million gallons. Brian's guys had 7 emergency locates, 245 general locates, 174 work orders. They repaired 16. Garrison is turned off, and Fletcher and I will be discussing options. He's already sent them to me, and I think he and I to sit down and look at the cost and what our options are, so there'll be more of that coming this month. Brian had 13 emergency water leak issue calls, and Brandon and his guys picked up 200 truckloads of leaf, limb, and debris.
We made it through the end of the year without emergencies.
Yes. Brian gave me some year-end numbers. They installed 145 new water meters. That's $437,000 water meter sales, and that's what Fletcher was talking about, 6% increase in new customers, service, and so forth. And he's projecting somewhere near that same number in 24. So they fixed a total of 171 water leaks. They had 3,217 work orders. They had 2,932 locates. They picked up 1,313 brush, leaf, debris truckloads. This is what it gets you here. They picked up 43,784 trash pickups in the city. Almost 44,000. Now these next two are fantastic for our overall maintenance of our water and sewer plant. They replaced 6,400 feet of water line throughout our water district. 400 feet. The sewer lines, they replaced 10,125 feet. So some of that I mean, not necessarily replaced, but either new or replaced. debt service, where you can see, basically, we got one monthly payment left in our 3G loans and our bond payment to finish out our year end. So all of that is in line. At the bottom there, you'll see the balance of the EPA loan, which is this building, and that monthly payment there. Let's go over to the third page after what I just said right there, the statement of revenues and expenditures. We've got operating income, total revenue for the water and sewer for the month, that's right at $480,000. And, that puts us right at about 90% of our revenue, and operating expenses for that month were $472,000. So it was a very tight month in expenses. It only gave us a net income, basically $7,800. But our operating income year to date of those 11 months is right at $1,900,000. Turn to the next page, which will show the budget actual for the year end. Our budget for the total revenue is $6.5 million. At this point, year to date is $5.8 million, which leaves $658,000. So we should come in with about 97% of the total projected revenues at the end of next month. When you go down to the bottom of the total expenditures, we have total expenditures of 6.7. We're at 4.5, which gives us at this point about 68% savings. We're at 68% of our total projected expenditure budget, which gives us roughly $2.2 million still in reserve from what we projected expenses. So we have done a great job in covering expenses from the water and sewer. The next page is the SPLOST, Jimmy. When you look up here under water and sewer on SPLOST 6, and you read to the right there, it says 147,000 left in water and sewer projects. And then $48,000 left as SPLOST 6 for roads, streets, and bridges. Now technically, December 28th, 27th, we wrote a check as SPLOST water and sewer for roughly $95,000 to Higgins Construction for a draw on Hazel Creek. But again, they're doing November numbers, not December. So technically, that number of 147 really is roughly 52,000 under that because of that $483,000 contract we have with Higgins. And just to say where he is, they're testing the new sewer lines on the north side of the bridge on Thursday, and they finish that side. And then he will move to the south side to do a section there. So also, Jimmy, you go down to SPLOST 7, you see water and sewer. Go over all the way to the right, there's roughly $682,000 in water and sewer plans. So that will be paying a portion of the Hazel Creek and of the sewer board under that plan. And then under the police and fire, that's their annual payments for their vehicles and the fire truck. And then at the very bottom is your roads, streets, and bridges of $180,000. So you would have 180 plus the 49,000 for water, for streets, roads, bridges, and sidewalks. But yeah, and that's where we can take also our LD money to match roughly the $38,000, every how much it comes up that y'all want to spend on that. We're pushing right at $33,000 a month in our Demorest collections of sales tax loss dollars. So, originally projected around 30, so we're definitely up there, and that's where we have budgeted for that. We just walk into. With that, I'll ask you if you have any questions. Ask me later. Anything or anything else. You want to know. But cash ask
other further comments or questions? Any other appearance and public comments? All right, next is consideration of, motion to move